Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Haley Mitchell Haugen. I'm the editor of Sheila-Na-Gig Online and Sheila-Na-Gig Editions. And tonight we are celebrating Laura Foley and the publication of her new collection, Sister in a Different Movie. Here it is. There she has it as well. Really excited to have this book out in the world. And then we have six readers from Sheila-Na-Gig Online and Sheila-Na-Gig Editions who will be reading a couple of their poems as well after Laura does her reading. So thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm going to give a little bit of background on Laura, just her blurb from the book, her description of the book, and then her bio, just to give you a little sense if you don't know who she is. So Laura describes Sister in a Different Movie as about four sisters navigating a shared legacy of war trauma, mental illness, and endearing sisterhood. These imagistic, musically rich poems embrace negative capability, welcoming the mind's shadows and light with compassion. As the youngest sister seeks to understand the complexities of their father's past and the impact on their family, the poems explore how even estrangement cannot sever the deep bonds between siblings. Together, they endure the emotional undertow of their father's legacy and the limitations of a mother who could only save one from drowning. And Laura will tell us more about that. I'm sure you'll be reading some of those poems. So about Laura, she's the author of 11 previous poetry collections, including most recently Sledding the Valley of the Shadow and Ice Cream for Lunch. She has won a Narrative Magazine Poetry Prize, Common Good Books Poetry Prize, Poetry Box Editor's Choice Chapbook Award, Bisexual Book Award, and others. Her work has been widely published in Alaska Quarterly, Valparaiso Poetry Review, American Life and Poetry, One Art, and anthologies such as How to Love the World and Poetry of Presence. Also, she's appeared in Sheila-Na-Gig Online, which is where I first encountered Laura and her work, and she's been published a number of times in there. So it's always exciting when we have Sheila-Na-Gig Online authors and I get to know them and get to this point too where I publish their work. Laura holds graduate degrees in literature from Columbia University and lives with her wife and their two romping canines in the steep banks of the Connecticut River in New Hampshire. And before we ask Laura to take it away from us, we're also privileged tonight to have Andrew Bonnycastle here. And Andrew is responsible for the beautiful artwork on the cover. Andrew is an award-winning artist coming to us from Toronto, Canada. So Andrew, would you like to just say a couple words about your portrait on the cover?
Sure. It's the figures in the painting admiring the piece by John Singer Sargent, famous painting at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. The three figures in modern dress are actually modeled on my three sisters.
Oh,
So I rather understood the
wow.
direction that Laura was going, where she wanted sisters represented.
Mhm.
And Laura was kind enough when we were discussing the use of the of my painting on the cover to give me a manuscript version, which allowed me to sort of go over her work and see how it connected. And I thought it was a wonderful way of yes, connecting two different art forms, poetry and the beauty of Laura and honesty of Laura's words with my view of the world with colored dirt and canvas.
That's great. Thank you, Andrew, for sharing that. And I'm going to be putting a link to Andrew's website in the chat as well, so you can see his work online. So just thank you so much for allowing us to use the image. It's always a shot in the dark when you write an artist you don't know and you say, "Hey, can we use your work as a cover?" Sometimes it's yes and sometimes it's no. So thank you so much. All right, we're going to switch over to Laura Foley now. Welcome, Laura. So excited to have this moment with you. Take it away for us.
Okay, well, thank you. And thank you so much, everyone, for coming. And thank you, of course, Haley, for creating this really amazing community of writers and poets. So, Sister in a Different Movie is dedicated to my late sister, Claire. Small certainties. I was lucky, born fourth of four girls, so Dad had a little more time to get over the war. Even so, at the dining table, glittering with candles, platters of roast beef, potatoes, green beans, always the talk of starvation, water torture. He had endured 4 winters in prison in China, worked in a salt mine. I felt proud of him, though terribly shy, and would slip away to my room. Still, I was lucky. I didn't see the worms one sister imagined wriggling in the rugs, didn't leap from a window onto barbed wire as another sister did, but learned instead to seek joy in the smallest ways, lining up my toy cats, small, bright certainties in a world still trembling from what came before. So this is a poem about Ireland, about a trip to Ireland when I was 16, and I feel very connected to Ireland. Certainly, my ancestors are Irish and all that. Sister in the Old Country, Wicklow Road, County Cavan, 16. I visit Nanny, Mrs. D's sister, who at 75 still rides a bike, wears a pink flowered dress I recognize as a hand-me-down from Mom. We sit in the kitchen, a circle of women on metal chairs, Christ smiling from the wall despite his bleeding heart. She says the rosary, and we repeat, "Blessed is the fruit, full of grace, thy womb." Crone's voices droning like ancient druids echoing in the linoleum-tiled room. Aromas of puddings, soda bread baking, mouth-watering odor of onions, eggs, mutton, tomatoes fried in fat. Faces like pale stones, hardened, weather-worn. Outside, the acrid smell of burning peat, damp earth and salt air, the sacred encircling sea. So, yes, I had 3 sisters. I actually had 4. One was a half sister who came later. And this one is about my sister who lived at this time in Georgetown. This is not the sister who passed away. Coming out to my sister. My sister, the aloof one, wasn't that day. She took my arm, led me through Georgetown, sunlight on brick sidewalks, into a small boutique where we found clothes soft as permission. I chose a black silk cape, delicate women stitched across the back, a garment that felt like stepping into myself. For a little while, she smiled at me, held the clothes to my shoulders, wanting to see who I might become. Many years now she hasn't called, doesn't answer emails, has slipped again into distance, into silence. But the cape still hangs in my closet, light as breath, reminding me of the one day we were gentle with each other. Thank you. I see they. In Zoom, it's hard to get a feeling for the room, but it is nice to see some responses. This one moves to my sister who died, Claire. And this is how she died a few years ago. A gated community. Claire loved the security of the guard and the gate lifting for her car, keeping her safe, until the night she immersed in a hot bath and her heart seized. She sank down, drowned, the water still running from the taps, water overflowing the tub, seeping under the door, soaking the rug, water deepening for 2 weeks until it wept through the neighbor's wall. Then came police breaking the locked door of her life, finding she'd escaped to a place beyond water where she'll always feel safe. My sister, who loved real estate, at peace beyond the gates. So she was a recluse, and I hadn't seen her for 40 years. I had had some correspondence with her, but I had not seen her. Nor had anyone else in the family. This is a poem for Clara. Jumble. I lack the words to evoke 5 o'clock emptiness. No aromas of garlic, no paprika, no sweetness of flan tempting my nose, no tomatoes fried in finest olive oil to slick my tongue like the Spanish syllables she needs to hear spoken in Madrid's highlands, where her siblings and 90-year-old mother have missed her. But what's the use my searching for words? By the time I finish this, she'll be home where she's meant to be, with me, her boots a cozy jumble by our door, spooning my shoes. So I have actually been married 3 times so far. Sorry. But to 2 different men and then to Clara. And so the second man was the 20-year marriage where I had 2 children, and he was a film professor. He was my film professor. This was before Me Too. He was my film professor at Columbia. So this is the early days of getting to know him. I don't know if any of you know the Kurosawa film called Dodescaden. This is called Dodescaden. Watching Kurosawa's Dodescaden at the theater in the early days, dating my film professor, his tweed beret cocked, his arm in the dark pressing into mine pressing back. Strolling through Washington Square Park after rain, vivid park lights shine in the ink-black night like constellations, like train tracks clacking. I feel my life tugging, dodescaden, a steady rumble pulling me into my future. Or is it the sound of our unborn children calling? Special delivery. As I walk our country road, a FedEx van passes, and it occurs to me it might be her ashes from Texas, my sister, finally coming to visit. So with the film professor husband, we did a lot of traveling. Watching the news from Afghanistan. Did I once travel in a rickety van to the north with my husband, 2 little children, to the snowy peaks where Alexander crossed toward Tibet? Did it grow cold? Did the electricity go out, snow falling on the budding almond trees? Did we hear men testing weapons in the market, blasting Russian Kalashnikovs, American guns into the air? Did I walk through crowds, head and shoulders covered with my head bowed under a scarf? Did we sit at cafes on unpaved streets, sip mint tea among hungry, roving dogs? Did my son trace circles in the dust as I nursed the baby in the shadows of the Hindu Kush? Do I hold my son's son even closer today as I watch videos of Afghan children seeking refuge from mountains of guns, dangling from landing gear, falling from an escaping plane. So Clara is from Spain and always had this dream of walking the Camino. And we did that 500 miles. We actually did it 2 years in a row before COVID. Mermaids. The agile octopus hunter passes as we rest on slippery rocks, his long pronged fork just right to find and net presa viva, live catch, a true cazador de pulpos, her Spanish lisping the Z's, rolling the R's in the way I love. When I first heard that voice, I knew we'd go somewhere exotic, to New England, Honduras, Venezuela, or, as it turns out, Galicia, sitting on mossy stones, 300 miles into our pilgrimage without belief to a holy Catholic site, our wedding a year behind us. She explains you never stab an octopus, for the ink matters, just as the black-clad sea god brandishes his trident and darts past, letting us mermaids be. How's everyone doing out there in Zoom land? This one's back to my dad. 2 words for my dad who smuggled quinine to his men in prison camp. Oh, sorry. My dad was a doctor. So in the prison camp, he was the doctor also, as well as being a prisoner. Okay. 2 words for my dad who smuggled quinine to his men in prison camp. His pre-war years on Yangtze riverboats, studying Mandarin and tropical disease, who smuggled quinine to his men in prison camp while their captors died, enraging the commander. Studying Mandarin and tropical disease, he learned endurance. While their captors died, enraging the commander, water drops to the head, near starvation. He learned endurance, never betraying his quinine source. Water drops to the head, near starvation, a Chinese friend he would not name. Never betraying his quinine source, Dr. Foley kept the secret. A Chinese friend he would not name. Through interrogation, the coma that followed, Dr. Foley kept the secret. There are 2 words for the kind of person he was. Through interrogation, the coma that followed, both beginning with H. There are 2 words for the kind of person he was, a healer first, a hero never to himself, both beginning with H, who smuggled quinine to his men in prison camp. A healer first, a hero never to himself. He never betrayed his quinine source. Into the air, sifting my estranged sister's papers after her death, I find a 1996 associate's degree, community college, high honors. I see the sun flaring in my window's edge, rosy light eking below hills, like my will to call her all those years. All those years these woods kept hemming the valley. All the fall days these trees kept shedding their leaves, etching November in me. I find a recent photograph, the only glimpse I'd had for years, seeing in my sister's face a mirror I never noticed, her smile a bit roguish. Warm congratulations on your degree, I speak to empty air. Wonder if she hears. I'll read 2 more poems. Okay. So during COVID, I was part of a Billy Collins group. We met a lot, more than once a week. I think it was like 4 times a week that he had these broadcasts, and so it became a whole community. And we sent him birthday presents and stuff like that. So when I refer to a famous poet, I mean Billy Collins. Let's go out for breakfast, I say to myself. I rushed to the biggest post office at 8 on Monday, so my card for the famous poet's birthday won't arrive late. A forest of bamboo, a panda dozing at ease, which reminded me of him. At the hipster cafe, my latte is bitter, the bagel too salty to eat. I spend the morning on a stool watching strangers on the street, March winds buffeting eyes with winter dust. At lunch, I meet my beloved, her teaching gig done, but the cool taco trucks closed. Not enough staff, explains the handmade sign. We make our hungry way home, and I stop at the railroad crossing where last November her student backed onto the tracks, didn't see the oncoming train. I pause at the makeshift shrine, a wooden cross, piles of basketballs, plastic flowers, teddy bears. Though the clerk said the card will arrive late, though the coffee was undrinkable, the bagel inedible, the taco place closed, though everyone has dust in their eyes, for one moment I saw it, a single ash leaf lifting upward, spiraling over the railroad tracks, brown but catching light, so it gleamed in passing, spinning out of sight. And we'll end with this poem. And thank you, you've been a really good audience. I don't know why I feel that. Is this then poetry? If I tell you my dream, shoulder blades crackling with electricity as I fly, diving into the earth to carry up coffins, do I resurrect my father, my mother, my sister with words? As you see them flicker through my pen, could I see them too? My long gone parents, shoulder to shoulder, at ease, and Claire, black haired, rising from water.
Thank you so much, Laura. We have been a good audience. We've been a rapt audience. There's been lots of little hearts going up and snapping and clapping, and it is hard to tell when you're reading, but yeah, beautiful reading, and so nice to hear these poems aloud. So, we have been enjoying Laura Foley with her collection, Sister in a Different Movie, available from Sheila-Na-Gig Editions. And now we have 6 other Sheila-Na-Gig authors who will just share 2 of their works. And we're starting with going all the way to California to hear from Joe Cottonwood. Take it away, Joe.
Thanks, Haley. I got to start with a question for Laura. Do you know the quinine source?
It was a Chinese guy.
I'm sure.
That's all I know. I mean, I did a bit of research, and that's what I found out.
It's a whole story there, how it got smuggled in and how the deception. Wow. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, I'll do 2 from my most recent book. I did a Zoom, launching the book, and unfortunately I didn't write down which poems I read, so I don't want to repeat myself. But these 2, I'm sure I did not present at the other Zoom, so let me get them here. The first one, I could tell you, I got home about 1 minute before this Zoom meeting began, and I'd been driving down Highway 1 from Half Moon Bay to my home, which is just such a gorgeous drive. I mean, Highway 1 is iconic, as we know. It made me want to read this poem, which is not on Highway 1, but it's about my love of my home. I grew up on the East Coast in Maryland, near foothills of the Appalachians. Sorry to bore you, but we always said Appalachian, and it catches me off guard every time someone says Appalachian, but that's what we said. And okay, this is called Open Range. You study me from the shotgun seat, making me squirm, So I point to a cow scratching her back against a telephone pole with obvious bovine pleasure. Evening gives Nevada a beauty it lacks when bright and hot. We from foggy redwood coast of California might never fit here, but love passing where somehow life makes a different sense. One longhorn blocks us, ripping grass from cracks in pavement. I stop the bug. The beast outweighs it. We step out. You're gazing at me, not the munching cow or the oncoming night of white clouds, charcoal sky in a silence made more so by the chirping of a single cricket. We're driving back roads to Boston for jobs we don't want but ought to try, for career, for good sense in a stone-cold city. My bladder calls. Black-eyed Susans line the road, so I aim at rocks, as it would seem a crime to pee on flowers, especially with you watching, as you are. I might be pregnant, you say. Your face, always lit, now by starlight, brighter still. No breeze, and yet the telephone wires are singing, ringing. Across the sky comes an orange flare, too fast for a jet. I have time to say, look! Without a sound, the meteor explodes, and fragments, red fragments, dropping like stars toward Earth. I sort of knew, I say. The moon is rising from behind a mountain, silhouetting each pine. The glow advances tree to tree along the ridge like the hand of a clock. And now we don't care if that cow stays forever. Thank you, Lucy, you whisper toward the beast, who in truth has no name but an ear tag. Without a word, we W-turn the jam-packed beetle forward, back on the narrow lane, and drive westward. Drive home. Okay, the other one, it's called This is a Poem About a Full Moon, which is exactly what it is. This is a poem about a full moon called A Hunter's Moon. I never saw rising because I live in a valley covered in fog. Each night in a hot tub, I soak. Each night a different phase of moon before reaching my eyes. It must scale the mountainside to pierce the fog with silver shafts, hovering among the redwood trees like beams from a celestial projector. This is a poem about a nose touching my elbow at the edge of the hot tub, a black, wet nose, a raccoon cub, wide-eyed with life, handsome, fur thick and glossy, curious, electric, spirit of night. Startled, delighted, I exclaim, "There you are!" like an idiot, and the cub, scared, so quick on its feet, scampers. Gone. This is a poem about the felt, sometimes seen, ever there. Fog, full moon, cub nose, the damp touch of the wild cosmos. That's it.
Congratulations, Laura. I met Laura some years ago at a workshop. So at least one, if not two, of these poems sounded familiar. The ones that you read. I love your poetry. Very just so moving. So thank you, and honored to be here tonight to celebrate your collection with everyone else. And I think I will echo a little bit, Joe. We are in the same part of the country, and so I'm going to read a poem about the West Coast and then one about the East Coast. And I am working on my collection, so I'm looking at older poems, and this is it's a couple of years old. Canticle. Connect me to your roots. Far from columned cathedrals, I entered the forest's shade. Redwoods rose dark pillars beyond my gaze's reach. I will travel with the sap to the top, see marbled murrelets and salamanders at home in your canopy. Ferns and huckleberries growing up above, cloistered from their kind on the ground. Sunlight filtered through the canopy has through mullioned windows to the amber ground, soft with layered leaves, shown on my steps, the nave lined with ferns, patches of sorrel deep green and burgundy, like a rich carpet. A varied thrush whistled. Teach me to reach the scarred, the fire-scarred, the faces with spent gazes. In the airy space, redwoods listened to my words, held them in the light, grains of soil, offered them back to me. And this is the poem on the current issue of Sheila-Na-Gig online. On the Great Allegheny Passage, cycling along the water. From Pittsburgh's Point State Park, the trail, former rail, first follows the Monongahela River, then parallels the Yakanani, a stream flowing in a contrary direction the Lenape people observed and named. Both the Mon and the Yak flow northward rather than eastward. I cycled contrary to the water flow, upstream and uphill. Had I been assured the tension of the opposing movements could have torn me apart. A river can be a boundary, the Amur, the Columbia, the Rio Grande. But when I saw anglers standing in the water like stepping stones between the shores, I saw the stream as a thread sewing the seam between lands, between people. We'll meet at water's edge, the river a liquid bridge between our hands. Thank you.
It was a pleasure to hear you, Laura and Joe and Simona. Thank you. I'm going to read just two pieces from my Everyday Omens that was out in April through Sheila-Na-Gig. And I also don't remember if I read those when I had my these two poems when I had my little release, but we'll just go with them. This first one's called Orphan. With a mug of coffee in your hand, you walk the perimeter of your mother's yard as she tracks cacti pads for gnaw marks from javelina or rabbits, peers close to blossoms, checks if the watering system works. You don't leave for a run until you've done this, or it will be the first of many missteps you'll make during your visit. Last night, you left the window open, fell asleep listening to coyotes as coyotes yipped and howled, first around midnight, again as the sun rose. Those cries to each other, a family, unified as they called the wanderers home, protected their territory. One brother lives close, speaks little, words too risky, too sharp. Your other brother lives dead center in the country, split between the main pack and you, the outlier. You're not lonely, not lacking anyone, only alone in the way you were at 10, 16, 20, when you howled. Your family never had a song, so you searched for a rhythm, a territory of your own. This other poem, thank you, is called Out There Somewhere. I wish there was an app to help me understand space, its emptiness, soundlessness, and blackness complete. I'd close my eyes and reopen them and know all there is to know, not only in my brain, but also in my heart, a blooming great red dahlia. To know the location of airy gaseous clusters and drifts sent by the Webb telescope, I need to know galaxies, quadrants, light years, a way to travel to the worlds that appear in my inbox, to that world that is a deep purple-centered orchid with violet petals, lit from beyond, from within, by white and yellow stars. When I look into the black beyond, I don't see an escape option from this planet we're slowly suffocating. I see a loss of shadows dappling under the red buds when they speak to the air. A dawn that comes on so softly peach, it makes the morning ache. A red fox hunting in my yard instead of the woods among the sticks dowsers use. Here and known, this sky reaches through sunlight to sugar maples, chestnut oak, dogwoods, to clouds puffing free. Thank you.
I'm Penelope Moffet, speaking to you from Los Angeles County. It was a real pleasure to hear the poets who have read so far, especially satisfying to hear Laura read from her book, which I love. I've read it twice now. It was even better the second time. Both of the poems that I'd like to read have appeared in Sheila-Na-Gig online, and both of them are in my upcoming book through Sheila-Na-Gig Editions. It'll be out in a couple of months. The first one is called I'll Go In. If it's deep enough, I'll swim. And by deep enough, I mean enough water that my fingers don't scrape as I breathe each third stroke. Watch bubbles rise, see what flickers underneath. If I can become small enough, I'll go in any meditation pond or creek. Even the scummy collecting pool at the Writer's Mountain Workshop looks inviting. Even the blue aqueduct beside the interstate. Even cold Lake Tahoe. Even snowmelt Alaskan streams I barely keep myself from jumping into. Even salty waves that roll me under, calm chlorinated pools, the shrunken swimming hole on the Hasayampa River at Frog Falls, 2 breaths at most across. Even this full glass. The glass is no longer full because I've been drinking from it, but I would jump in if I could. And this is the second poem in the book. This appeared in Sheila-Na-Gig online about 3 years ago. Full moon, December. Before dawn, a full moon hangs between the condos across the street. Instagram worthy, but I don't try it with my old iPhone. The cats wait for me to provide a lap in the recliner, my legs up in the reading lamp's soft pool of light. The sky lightens, trees appear, the moon goes into hiding. What I can see from here are red tile roofs, a gray sky tinged with blood. It's so long since I held someone human. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Penelope. And thank you, Laura. I'm going to read one from Porch Poems, which is from Sheila-Na-Gig. And I'm only reading this because you're all professionals and you know the rules. So this is rules for the open mic poetry reading. For the poet, don't explain the whole poem before you begin. Don't mumble or slouch or pick at the scab at your elbow. Don't apologize. Don't fret like a preschooler searching for mom. If you think you're Frost or Dickinson, then go ahead, read the first draft you wrote this morning. Tepid clapping is not permission for you to read another half hour. no sermons, no more than 2 unrequited loves. And please, no perineum or vagina poems. No fake British accent. Your poem is not so significant you need to crescendo every line, nor so deep as to warrant a sloth's pace. Never fade out in the final stanza or mute the last word. And if you fail, fail gloriously. Treat poetry with respect, don a clean shirt, read as if you like your poems. For the listener, don't make grocery lists or play solitaire on your phone. Focus on the reader, not your dirty nails. Don't be afraid to sigh, nod, hoot. Drink beer if it makes listening easier. Gaze out the window of your mind and change what you see according to what you hear. Allow yourself to be surprised. And afterwards, don't rush off. Discuss a poem over wine and cheese. If you have the means, buy a book you like. Instead of listening to the radio on the way home, try to remember a metaphor. Next time, bring a friend. Come early, lounge near the front. Smile at the reader before she begins. Let the poem lead you where it will. And then a new poem. I'm a woman, or the importance of gender. Every morning I dangle silver earrings against my neck like exclamation marks, brush pink blush over dull cheeks, hide my startling bald head under a paisley bandana. I met my first trans woman 4 years ago at a Mennonite writers' conference. After her reading, I stood in line waiting for her autograph, not sure if I was allowed to tell Casey she looked beautiful. A few years before that, I met a bartender with shoulders wide as goalposts, breasts like a cheerleader, leather pants bulging. I wanted to leave. I wanted to order drinks all night. Patty, my old schoolmate, wore pink tutus every day in 2nd grade. Now he goes by Earl. Just last year, my cousin chose a new name, Lightning, wants me to try harder to use they, them. I eat with plasticware to prevent the metal taste of forks from sliding down my throat. I have scars and wear sweatpants and am not allowed to shave my legs. In the mirror, my earrings sway, she, her, she, her, she, her. Thank you.
Okay, great stuff. Thank you, Haley, as always. Laura, thank you very much. I confess it's my first contact with your poetry, and I'm so very glad that I have made that contact, and I'll certainly be exploring much more of it. Really enjoyed it. And Cheryl, thank you very much, especially for your opening poem. I'm always excited to be in a Sheila-Na-Gig reading, and I was so excited today that I wrote 2 new poems on the way home from the grocery store just for tonight. Okay, not really. All right, lately I've been writing poems about people that I know or have known, so that's what you're getting tonight, a couple of those. This first one is called You Should Know. A good pen is important, says my friend Marnie, whose real name is Carmen, which she hates for no good Mexican reason, and who carries a Mont Blanc Meisterstück around everywhere, writing sapere aude on everything. Latin for dare to know, she says. But don't ask me, I'm from California. She nicks soiled paper napkins from hoity-toity whiskey lounges, high-end restaurant bars, autographs them as Dolores Del Rio, sells them online, though you can catch her in supply on Thursday nights at the Frolic Room on Hollywood Boulevard. And that's just one more thing I like about Marnie. Okay, thank you. This is then this one to close us out, is called True South. He'd say his grandpa saw Vampira, aka Mela Nurmi, dining out for lunch at a drive-in burger and shake joint in 1954. With Gary, you'd have to like stories. He was, let's say, an unceasing performance of tales, narratives, anecdotes, histories, legends, fables, yarns, and chronicles. I was with him in that DUI crash a couple of years back, heard him recount it dozens of times with as many variations, embellishments always small at first. He used to say his dad, with some producer friend, visited Claudia Cardinal in a Rome apartment, 1959. She was reclining, that's the word he'd use, reclining, in a white satin negligee, on a plaid sofa, dreamily listening to Ella Fitzgerald records. Claimed there was a Kodachrome photo to prove this, except one of his girlfriends stole it. Once, he told a waitress that he was driving I-5 north and saw the face of Jesus in half a watermelon at a roadside stand, that the wife of the guy who bought it fainted dead away when he cut it open. The dude ate the whole melon, Jesus and all. Then, her lying there, drove off alone. Gary was full of proverbial shit, but entertaining until the broken end. He flipped a stolen Buick Electra in Tijuana, snapped his spine, died alone in a piss-filled gutter, and somebody had pinched his wallet. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Michael. Always a pleasure to have you opening or closing or in the middle. Always great to have you here. And all of our other Sheila-Na-Gig Edition authors. And special thanks to Laura Foley, reading from Sister in a Different Movie. All of these poets' works can be found at SheilaNagigblog.com. And next week is June 28th on Sunday. We have a rare Sunday reading because Catherine Regal will be joining us from Scotland. Her book, What Life is Like Here on Earth, is recently released, and we'll be sharing with her. So if Thursday nights are hard, we've got a rare Sunday one. So come on back for that. Thank you, everybody.